When you talk about the deployment, what do you want people to know about that experience for your folks in 09-10?
I would like people to leave the politics out of it. I would like people to forget words like counter-guerrilla and counterinsurgency and just focus on the fact that a bunch of good people did a lot of really hard work in a really bad place. And afterwards, like, we're proud of what we did, and I think we're proud of each other, but there's no political greatness to it. Like, there's no shame to it. There shouldn't be any controversy to it. It was just a lot of rough people doing a lot of rough work, and now everybody's trying to put it behind them. We were young. You know, you have an idea of what war is and what fighting for your nation means, and you want to do that. You want to go fight the good fight. You want to close with and destroy the enemy. That's, you know, what you get taught in day one of, you know, the infantry schoolhouse, and that's what you want to do. You have a strong desire to go in and mix it up. And so when they told us that we were going to the Arghandab River Valley and that it was going to be, you know, a fight, I think a lot of us, you know, there's at night, maybe you're nervous about it, but during the day at work, you're pumped up about it. And then once you get there and you get in the fight, when the shooting happens, it's very exciting and the adrenaline pumps, and in a lot of ways it's incredibly addictive. And then you see what happens when you start picking up soldiers off the ground and putting them in body bags, and the adventure kind of went away. The adventure died.
And then it got more real for you a couple weeks later when your friend was hurt. Is that right?
Yeah.
Can you tell me about that day? Because that's an important day for your life and his life.
That was maybe the worst 36 hours that anybody could ever experience. I was standing, you know, right next to Dan talking to him, and then he turned and walked away and went around the compound to the other side where his platoon was and stepped on an IED and, you know, about 10 meters away and lost his legs, and I thought he died. I was certain he was dead. And it was a really long night. And a really long next morning.
Dan is an awesome person. He's got an MBA at Stanford, gone on to great things, recovered at Walter Reed. Were you worried about him all that for that rest of your deployment? You had a long way to go in Afghanistan even after he left.
Until we found out that he was, you know, okay at Walter Reed and stabilized, and then we weren't worried about him because we knew our friend would live. And we knew who Dan was, and we knew the type of person he was, and we knew that, you know, it might slow him down for maybe 3 or 4 heartbeats, but at the end of the day, like, Dan was going to be Dan.
So why did you feel guilt about the night that Dan got hurt?
The night that Dan got hurt, when one of my best friends in the world stepped on an IED, I couldn't bring myself to go over and talk to him, to go check on him. I was 10 meters away, and I couldn't go over to his body. Instead of going over to Dan Berchinski and checking on him and letting him know that he wasn't alone and that he'd be okay, you know, I went up to the roof and, you know, hid by the radios essentially while, you know, the medics did their work because I just couldn't stand to see my friend broken.
So how did you bring this up to Dan when you came home? Did you do this, you know, on a phone call, or did you go through like a controlled setting to talk about it?
No, he actually came out to Fort Irwin. I put him in one of my Humvees, and we were driving around the box watching, you know, tanks play laser tag. And he knew there was something eating at me, and, you know, kind of pulled it out of me, and, you know, kind of unburdened my soul, so to speak, out at NTC.
Okay, and then that must have felt comforting to you to express that to him.
Yeah, I slept a lot better after that.
Okay.
Slept a lot better after that.
From the 117, a lot of you guys have done amazing things since then and grown. Some folks have had trouble. What does your experience tell you about the ability to have post-traumatic growth from that Army buzzword?
I think when you can overcome something hard, it makes you stronger. I've never encountered anything in my life that was hard, that when you were done with it, you weren't better off for it. That you didn't have more pride and you didn't have more confidence in your own ability to handle challenges. And I know that if I can handle combat and if I can, you know, deal with the aftermath and the struggles and actually accept that I need to talk to people and get help and understand that there's people there for you, and eventually you get through it. You don't get through it alone, but when you get through it as a team, you have more confidence in yourself, and you know that you have, you know, people in a support network that you can count on.